Once upon a time, in a beautiful kingdom, there lived a young princess. She was kind and beautiful and loved by everyone. The princess often played by a cool, deep well in the forest near the palace. One day, as she played with her favorite golden ball, it slipped from her fingers and fell into the well. The princess watched in despair as her precious ball sank out of sight. Distraught, the princess began to cry. Her sobs were heard by a nearby frog who lived in the well. The frog hopped up to her and asked, "Why are you crying, dear princess?" "My golden ball has fallen into the well," she replied, tears streaming down her face. The frog thought for a moment and then said, "I can retrieve your ball for you, but what will you give me in return?" The princess, desperate to get her ball back, promised, "I'll give you anything you want, jewels, my crown, anything." The frog shook his head. "I do not want your jewels or your crown. I want your friendship. Promise that you will let me eat from your plate, drink from your cup, and sleep on your pillow." The princess, thinking the frog's request was a small price to pay for her golden ball, agreed. "I promise," she said, though she did not intend to keep it. The frog dove into the well and soon returned with the golden ball. The princess was overjoyed. She took her ball and ran back to the palace, forgetting all about the frog and her promise. That evening, as the princess dined with her father, the king, there came a knock at the door. The princess opened it to find the frog. "Princess, you made a promise," said the frog. Reluctantly, the princess explained everything to the king. He, being a wise and just ruler, told her, "A promise is a promise. You must keep your word." And happily, the princess let the frog in. The frog hopped up to the table and ate from her plate and drank from her cup. When it was time for bed, the frog followed her to her room. The princess, disgusted, placed him in a corner far from her pillow. But the frog reminded her of her promise. "You promised I could sleep on your pillow," he croaked. With great reluctance, the princess placed the frog on her pillow. She turned away from him and tried to sleep. As the night went on, the princess began to feel pity for the frog. She turned to him and gave him a gentle kiss on his little green head. Suddenly, the frog transformed into a handsome prince. The princess was amazed. The prince explained, "A wicked witch cast a spell on me, turning me into a frog. Your kindness and kiss have broken the spell." The princess and the prince quickly became friends. They spent many happy days together and eventually fell in love. The prince asked the princess to marry him, and she agreed. They were married in a grand celebration attended by the entire kingdom. The prince and princess ruled wisely and kindly, beloved by all. The princess had learned the value of keeping promises and being kind, and they both lived happily ever after.